So thank you all for making the time to come. I just want to give you some deeper insight into the wisdom of Ayurvedic cleansing and to see if it aligns with you and what your needs are. It may be maybe now, which is a perfect time to do it if you can. But we can also find a time and a way to make it work for you otherwise. So I'm just going to kind of take you through a couple little things because I'm not sure Laurel's background, but Robin and Sony, you're definitely familiar with Ayurveda and maybe oriented to how the medical science, the science of it works, right? Maybe a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Laurel.
Hi, Laurel.
Yeah, sorry, I am actually holding my baby and making dinner, so I'm mostly going to be listening in.
Okay,
Um,
no
but
problem.
I'm located in South Bend. Um, and I've been somewhat familiar with Ayurveda for a while. Just workshops here and there and reading books and all of that, but nothing incredibly complex.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're just really intrigued by the Vedas and yoga and Ayurveda
Mhm.
and all the good ways that it can support you,
Yeah.
holistically. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, no problem. Happy to have you just listen in and then chime in with any questions if you have any along the way. It's totally want you to be able to get your questions in as we go. So I am going to just kind of then give you just a little bit of a refresher into Ayurveda and kind of how does it, really how does it play into this whole design um, of why we cleanse? Why are we cleansing, or why are we even thinking about cleansing? And how does it support that? So let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen there where it says key principles of Ayurveda?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So this is saying here that, in the lens of Ayurveda, the universe is like a macrocosm, right? It's containing everything that we live within. But then our own individual body is a microcosm of that. So Ayurveda believes that we're all made of the same stuff, right? Which are the five elements, the five building blocks, the earth, air, water, fire, and space. So because we're all made of the same stuff and the same building blocks, then what's within our bodies is reflected in the universe around us, in the climate around us. So when things happen in the climate or outside of us, this this factors into how our internal climate is balanced or imbalanced. And I'm gonna kind of circle back to that later because I want to bring the elements into this and kind of why I'm focusing on the elements and the five senses for this cleanse. So does that make sense about the macrocosm and the microcosm? Yeah. So our bodies are we're all made of the same stuff, right, out here in creation. And it's just a system of holistic principles to help us live in harmony with nature and the rhythms of nature, um, so that we can align ourselves with nature in a way that is optimizes our health. And of course, we're all individuals, right? We're all different, like thumbprints and snowflakes. We have an individual constitution that's unique just to you, and there's nobody else like you on the planet. So what you need is going to be something that's individual and customized, and Ayurveda really does recognize that. and guides us towards this innate intelligence we have within us that we're born with. We're born with this intelligence of how to tune into nature and kind of understand its rhythms and apply it to our lives. But first, the discernment that we get about making our choices and things is by understanding your personal constitution. So once you understand your personal constitution, then you can start understanding what choices you need to make at any given time to know what you need when you need it to bring that balance, right? Because we can see outside, the weather's constantly in flux. Like it might be sunny, but then the clouds come over and then it's cool, and then the wind starts to blow, but then it stops. Like there's a constant flux in our climate, and kind of likewise in our inner climate. So we need to be equipped and empowered with the tools of what Ayurveda gives us to, through understanding our constitution, to know what we need and when we need it. And then it becomes really empowering for us to really know how to take care of ourselves in an intelligent way that's wise and that resonates. So the whole goal of Ayurveda is treating the individual person, and that kind of differs from the Western medical system, right? Where they kind of blanket prescribe, like, oh, you have a cold, well, everybody should take this, or everybody should eat broccoli, or everybody should eat spinach, or everybody should be drinking protein powders or something. Like we just have this, in this Western world, we just have this way of making things sound like it's the best thing that everybody should do. But that's not how Ayurveda works. It really focuses in on that individual person. So the way that we can align with Ayurvedic principles and this like intelligence of towards wellness is observing these daily and seasonal rituals that will help us maximize our energy, helps us to be in balance so that the stress factors we experience in everyday life are reduced. We gain a much greater awareness of ourself and our needs, um, not just generally, but moment to moment on the daily, right? Um, but this is all towards, Ayurveda is all about giving you all the tools you need, mind, body, and spirit, to help you live your best life, right? Your fullest potential that you can achieve in this lifetime. And so in order to do that, right, we have to make our body and our minds work as efficiently as possible. If our goal was enlightenment for some, your body would need to be as pure as it could be, right? But maybe we're not going towards enlightenment so much in this life, but we still want to be enlightened towards health, because we know that when we feel good, and we have that energy like that, it just makes life better. It makes everyday life better. It makes it easier to handle our society the way it is in these days and times. It helps us to regulate our nervous system, cleanse our lymphatic system, which all Ayurvedic treatments and recommendations really target, So really systematically creating this radiant health and happiness that we all deserve. It's like our birthright, but because of our environment or our climate or, the factors of the life we live, we're really going to be able to have the power to gain that awareness in order to make those really intelligent, wise choices towards your own health goals. So, let's go to the next one here. So the other most important thing that I really love about Ayurvedic medicine is that it focuses on prevention. Prevention is really key. Statistically, it can count for to 60% of your health and disease prevention. So the 60% of your health and disease prevention, the way we prevent it is by observing daily cleansing and self-care rituals and, you know, really achieving the four goals of life according to Ayurveda. So that's just understanding your purpose, your dharma, what it is you're here to do for the world, in the world, and then, having a lot of pleasure living your life, and enjoying the pleasures of life. And then, creating abundance and affluence around your dharma and the way that you're pursuing the pleasures of life. And then ultimately achieving like liberation from attachments and the things that don't bring you joy, or the things that do cause, dis-ease in your life. And disease, in the Western terminology, we think, we automatically go to something that's chronic or terminal. But dis-ease is really just something that sets us off balance. It sets our ease into an imbalanced state. So, that's just a quick little glimpse into a little tiny nutshell version into how it works and the wisdom that it's approaching health with. And I'm just wondering if you all have any questions at this point in there. And hi, Tracy, glad that you're here. But no questions. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on. So now, yeah, so when it comes to cleansing, then, like we talked about daily, and I just mentioned that daily and seasonal cleansing. But what does that even look like? For when we talk about routines, we talk about rituals, we have dinacharya, which is our daily routine. So these are things that we can do every day, every morning, every evening. There's specific recommendations that Ayurveda gives us to help us cleanse our own bodies, and especially our five sense organs. So we do cleansing rituals every day. Like in the morning, we scrape our tongues. We maybe give ourselves a nice warm oil massage, even maybe doing some dry brushing before that, having a morning routine of like some breath work, meditation, yoga practice, and maybe even we do some nausea, which is putting some oil in the nose. So it's all about, caring for our five senses. And then seasonal routine is the ritucharya, and this is the rituals of cleansing that we would do during the season changes. So this is the whole system of prevention, right? Daily maintenance, daily cleansing, and then when it's time for the season changes, so spring into summer and then summer into fall, then that's when we would want to engage in a deeper cleansing practice. So each season has an energy that's connected to a particular dosha. So the dosha is what makes up your constitution, right? We have all three doshas here, Pitta, Vata, Kapha, and we just have them in different ratios. When you are conceived, whatever of the five elements that I first mentioned, whatever of those five elements is present in certain ratios in the sperm and the ovum when you're conceived is what you get. And that's your prakriti. And you have that's never changes throughout your whole life. But because of environmental factors and because of, accumulation of toxins and things that we gain, from environmental toxins, toxins from undigested foods and things, and we'll talk about that. But our doshas, get into an imbalanced state, and that's our vikruti. So when we understand our prakriti, then we can take our Vikruti and bring ourselves back into our Prakriti, our true balanced state. And then that is what optimal health looks like for you as an individual. So, so Pitta is like the dosha of the summertime. It's got the qualities of hot, sharp, bright, and intense. And then we have Vata. So this is predominant in the fall and the winter. And the qualities of Vata are cold and mobile, right? Like air and wind. It's dry and rough because that's what a lot of air and wind do, right? It kind of brings a lot of dryness and roughness to something. And then Kapha corresponds to the winter and early spring. So that's when it's going to be cold and damp, right? When the snow begins to melt, it brings a lot of dampness and a lot of heaviness, and liquefies like the snow. But likewise in our bodies, um, like whatever accumulation we've been storing over the winter starts to kind of liquefy and melt too. And so that can create a lot of congestion, right? And a lot of people will have that congestion during the springtime with allergies or colds and things. But likewise in the fall too, during a season change, a lot of people blame their their cold or whatever illness they come down with due to the season change, but it can be prevented through understanding how to cleanse and balance your constitution before the actual season change, so that you're kind of ahead of the game. You're ahead of the season change so that you're staying balanced with all the elements, all the doshas within your body. And, by the way, each dosha is a combination of the five elements. So pitta, we think of hot, we've got heat and we've got fire and water. Vata is air and ether, so space and air. So very dry, very airy. And then kapha is earth and water. Yeah, so that creates like a heaviness, right? When we mix those things together. So the elements are a huge part of it, and that's why I wanted to include that focus in the cleanse as well. So focusing on pitta, right? Because we're just starting to come out of the pitta season. And I don't know how it feels for you right now in California, Sony, but like these last couple of days, it feels like fall. We're starting to get
Oh,
those first
mhm.
taste of fall winds, and just like I have like a little chilly little sweater on, and it's just getting I'm starting to get that vibe, that fall is on its way. Of course, it's going to heat up again, but we feel it now. How is it over there in Napa?
Oh, we just had a heat wave.
Oh, really?
So
Okay. I know
Thursday,
this is hot
yeah.
season, fire season in California.
Yeah, so Thursday, I think it was like 102
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
here, and then it's been cooling down. It feels a little cooler in the early morning. So to
Oh,
me,
nice.
that's where I'm feeling like summer's coming to an end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it peaks.
Mhm.
So, so Pitta is that summer dosha, right? And it solidifies in the summer because what do we experience? We experience like the sharpness of heat, and it creates oily, sharp, hot, oily qualities. Like oily because we get sweaty, especially here in the Midwest. It's kind of damp and moist and sticky, right? So that's kind of like where that oily quality comes through. So over summertime, we're accumulating a lot of heat and stickiness in our bodies. And with understanding the wisdom of Ayurveda, now is really the time to remove that excess pitta, to balance the doshas and go gracefully into the next season of Vata, which is fall and winter, right? So the whole cleanse is to kind of and yes, it's heat, but even for you, like there might be something else in your body or another dosha that needs balancing, and that's why each cleanse is also going to be customized, right? So every single person that registers gets a consultation that's included, so you would be able to understand what your constitution is, and then we together will make a wellness plan for your cleanse that's customized to you, whether that it looks like, what menu you would have, what herbs you would take, what protocols you would do for your daily routine, and even breath work, yoga work, all of that can be all customized just for you. So that's what's another special thing with the cleanse, is having that customization and that consultation that's included. So there's a lot of other qualities that Pitta kind of governs, and that is the digestive fire, which is called Agni in the body. And the Agni is the fire element, right? So it regulates temperature. And for the digestion, it breaks down our food. It helps our bodies like absorb and assimilate our nutrients. And it transforms our food into those nutrients so that our body has energy, and even helps us in our conscious mind, in our conscious development. Um, so again, the qualities of heat, which is pitta, which is agni, right? You can put these all together. We've got hot, dry, sharp, light, and clear. Um, but when we have healthy agni, robust digestion, right? Agni, then, everything we eat is going to taste really well. We're going to be able to taste everything really well. And tasting everything is really, really important. We do have 6 tastes on our tongue, and each taste correlates to not just an organ in your body, but um, it correlates to like a medicinal effect, a therapeutic effect, right? So like bitter foods help to balance pitta and help to support the liver. So without tasting the bitterness, we're kind of missing that therapeutic effect that bitter quality in our mouth creates, right? Um, so that's just an example, and then there's definitely therapeutic effect for each taste, and each taste is like, so we talked about bitter, then we've got sweet, sour, pungent, salty, and sour. So each taste has its own affinity to a certain part of the body. And when we do have good Agni, we'll also have really healthy cravings. Like we'll understand the cravings that we have, and if they're healthy or not, or if they're going to help us to feel balanced or not. And when I talked about self-awareness in the beginning, that's where this really comes into play, because then you understand, I'm craving this, but I know that when I have it, then I start to feel really anxious, or I start to feel heavy or bloated, and I get gassy, and that is when we're feeling bloated or gassy or any other way than energized and clear and calm, then we can know that our Agni is off kilter, right? So when our Agni is off kilter, if it's imbalanced, if it's weak, so if we have a weak digestive fire, then what we're going to feel in our bodies is the result of ama. And ama is defined as raw, uncooked toxins. So Agni, when we bring food in, it's like it cooks it, right? It cooks it, it metabolizes it, breaks it down for those nutrients. But if we have a weak Agni and we're not able to really break down those nutrients and assimilate them for our optimal health, then they are uncooked. And this could impair the physical body. It could impair the mental function. Um, like you could feel heavy, not just in your body, but in your mind, like slow, sluggish, foggy, cloudy, dull, heavy, right? That stickiness, and maybe even we notice um, some foul smells from our body, from our waste, from our elimination. The way we taste things isn't very good. Like we're not, our food's not tasting very good to us, and we're not, maybe even we don't even have like a really strong, robust appetite. It's just like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. I should eat, so I will. But it's not really an optimal metabolism, right? So when we don't have an optimal metabolism, then we form metabolic waste. And it's it's the waste that gets trapped in our channels, in our tissues. And when the body doesn't know how to deal with it and can't metabolize it, then those toxins can also get stored in our fat cells. So that will manifest in like some hormone imbalance. If we've got all these toxins stored in our fat cells, then we can really start experiencing disease because of that. And a big expression of that can be hormone imbalance. It could be due to like the excess toxins in your body. It could look like a lot of different things. And again, it's an individual thing, so it could look different for everybody. But the culprit always comes back to how well are you digesting your food? And when you work with an Ayurvedic practitioner and you're starting to hone in on the imbalances, always, always, always the first thing we look at is the Agni. How are you metabolizing? How are you digesting? Because this is the key to your health and prevention. And that's why I put this little quote here when it says, when diet is correct, medicine is of no need. And when diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. So I've always had a lot of regard for this proverb, you could say, because it really speaks to how important digestion and assimilation is, specifically like nutrients, right? Nutrients are needed even down to the cellular level to give us vitality in body, mind, and spirit. Um, so the true medicine is food and it's diet. But food isn't just our diet. What else is our diet? Does anybody want to try to answer that question? What else our diet could be?
The music we listen to.
Yes. What we hear. Yep. What else?
What we see,
What we see,
what we read, what we consume through our eyes.
what we consume through our eyes. That's right. Yep. So what we hear, what we see. What else? How else do we consume life?
Use touch.
Touch. Yep. And then I'm just
Emotions,
give you a hint.
concepts.
There's two more. Two more things that constitute our diet. So taste, touch, hear. Oh, I said taste. So that's the fourth thing. So taste, touch, hear,
Smell.
see, and smell. Yeah. Yeah. So everything we take in through our five sense organs is considered your diet, because you have to digest and assimilate everything that you take in through your five sense organs, how you're experiencing life. And everything you take in has to be digested and assimilated. So there's an Agni in actually every cell in your body. There's an Agni in every organ of your body because it has to be able to transform what you've taken into something that the body can use. And then if it's useful, it's used. And if it's not, it's trying to make it eliminated as waste. But if our metabolism isn't functioning properly, if our assimilation and elimination is not happening properly, then we're not able to eliminate waste. So it gets stored in our bodies and it accumulates. It accumulates in our channels, it accumulates in our digestive system, it accumulates in our sense organs. Maybe we have a lot of congestion. Maybe we get a lot of, eye problems. Maybe we have tinnitus or ear problems from a lot of dryness or something. We're not tasting our food properly. Hence, we need to be scraping our tongue. Scraping the tongue doesn't just remove toxins that your body kindly, deposits there as we're sleeping, but it's kind of massaging the internal organs, right, that are all represented on the tongue and helping the metabolism process and helping the body, kind of massage those organs and get ready for digestion for the day. So, yeah, so just consider that, consider how everything that we bring in through the five sense organs is part of our diet. And that is another reason I want to focus on that with the cleanse, is because the daily cleansing practices are all about cleansing the sense organs, our skin, dry brushing, self-massaging with appropriate constitution oils, scraping the tongue, applying oil to our nose and our sinus tissue, but maybe even clearing it out with a neti pot. So neti and nasya. We can apply oil into our ears, and that's helping to clean out the channel of the ears. And this is actually a place in the body where Vata governs. And it's because, Vata is space, right? And so there's a space within our ear. And this is where people could feel, if their ear functions are imbalanced and the eardrums are imbalanced, and they could be feeling vertigo, they could develop that tinnitus, maybe they have just congestion in their ear channels. So cleaning the mouth, the taste organ, cleaning the skin, the touch organ, rinsing and moisturizing the eyes, so doing some ghee or castor oil in the eye at night, and then some rose water eye wash in the morning. So yeah, so there's a daily checklist, that you all are gonna get through there. And let's see if I have one more thing here. So what does it look like as far as these daily cleansing and then the whole cleanse process? So in the beginning, you're going to just slowly there's three phases, right? So we have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. The first phase starting September 12th. And by the way, if you can't participate in the group cleanse, and start on September 12th and then be there for the daily classes and everything, it's okay. We can always set up a private guided group cleanse, or not group, but private individual cleanse for you to do whenever you're ready, whenever timing aligns for you. And then, I can still give you that consultation. You'll still get everything that's included, and then just that personal guidance throughout. So the first phase, it's going to be 5 days. So this is the theme, right? 5 days, 5 senses, 5 elements. So the first 5 days is the phase 1, and we're going to be slowly weaning off alcohol, caffeine, dairy, anything that's high carb, sugar, processed foods, and meats. Yeah, Robin.
Uh, are the classes in person or all on Zoom?
They will be virtual. They will be
Okay, great.
virtual. Yes.
So if I have to go for the last week, I'm going to see my mom. She's 97 and she still rocks. Um,
Awesome.
so I could still continue on with the group.
For sure. And
Okay.
everything will be recorded, if you missed a day or anything. Um, and yeah, the first week, September 12th to the 17th, we're going to be, doing this weaning off of stuff. We're going to be lightening up, right? We're not going to be consuming these heavy acidic heat causing things like alcohol, caffeine. They cause a lot of heat in the body. Processed foods and sugar and carbs and dairy, right? Those are all and meats. Those are all really heavy things. When I say wean off, I mean like, you know, take your time, like especially if caffeine is a huge thing for you, maybe watering down your caffeine or maybe reducing it by a quarter cup each day, so that it's not such a shock to your body. And this is something I can help you with too, with a consultation, is giving you that guidance as how to wean. But the goal is just to wean off, lighten the load of what you're putting into your body following a doshic diet. So there's going to be this whole ebook that I'm going to show you next, where there's a plethora of recipes and um, grocery lists and food lists and even menus and recipes. So there's a lot there to work with, that you should be able to do really well with it. But general principles to follow is just to eat only when you're hungry, right? So according to the dosha clock, we've got kapha in the morning, we've got pitta at high noon, and then we've got vata in the late afternoon, and then kapha back again in the evening. So the rule of thumb with that is to eat a warm, light, and easy to digest breakfast and dinner, and then have lunch be your biggest meal of the day, and then try not to snack in between. So eat what you need to eat so that you don't feel like you need to grab a snack. But what can help pacify any hunger or food cravings in between meal times is sipping on warm water or teas like ginger tea, CCF tea, which is cumin, coriander, fennel tea. Just sipping on the hot waters and teas is really good. And it's also really hydrating, because you definitely want to increase your water intake during a cleanse, right? And rehydrate. Using a lot of ginger, salt, pepper, cumin, mustard seeds. These are all deepana. So that word deepana just means that it just really helps kindle the agni and increase your assimilation of nutrients. Then there's some kind of herbs like triphala. Maybe triphala is right for you, maybe it's not. For the most part, people do really well with it, and that is just an Ayurvedic formula that is tridoshic, that supports the health of the GI tract and digestion, assimilation, and elimination. So maybe that's all you need, but maybe there's other things that we could add to that for your health goals. So it says start clearing schedule. So it's true, like during a cleanse, the most optimal way to go through a cleanse would be for you to create the most time for yourself that you can. That might mean, you could still, a lot of people do successfully still go to work or work. Like I just did a cleanse this last week because I did mine so that I can be present for those who are doing the one in September. And there are, depending on how you feel, because there are meals within this cleanse. Like this isn't a juice cleanse or a starvation detox, where you're really restricted and you could start feeling like all kinds of crazy ways. Because, with the theme of intelligence, right? This is Ayurveda, it really intelligently designs cleansing in a specific way so that you aren't, you know, really getting sick from it, right? It's gentle, but it's still very thorough. And we aren't starving you. Like that's why there's specific menus and foods to eat, during phase 1. And then phase 2 is the prime time of the cleanse. And that's when you are going to have like a very, very limited diet. So that could look like a few different menu options that I'll show you next. But you're still getting nutrients in your body. You're still getting protein in your body, and you're still even getting fiber in your body. So you still should be able to function, but the goal is just to function as minimally as possible. So maybe you don't go to your exercise classes or your dance classes, or whatever you can minimize from your responsibilities during that phase 2 week. That's just the goal, right? Is just to get the least amount of responsibility on you so that you can have a lot of rest and a lot of time to care for yourself and to give yourself that space. And when we rest, obviously our body can do more work on cleansing. And just getting more sleep. And all of this really plays into rejuvenation, right? The really slowing, giving yourself that opportunity in this fast-paced, highly concentrated schedules that we all have. We deserve to be able to slow down twice a year, and do these seasonal cleansing. Our bodies deserve it. We should be able to and it's doable. It might take some time to figure out how to, figure out how to plug this into your life based on your family, based on your work, and just going around all of that. But over time, the more you experience this, and even once you experience the benefits of this, then you really will find a way. You'll find a way to make time for it, and the universe will support you finding a way and finding that time to do it. So now I want to show you kind of what is in this ebook that that is coming with the cleanse. So the ebook is really lovely because this is called Seasonal Home Cleansing Guide, and it's a beginner's guide, right? So this will even take you through how to do cleansing on your own at home anytime you want it or need it, right? Because this is such a thorough, well laid out book. It gives you a lot of education about cleansing, about the principles of Ayurveda, when you should do a cleanse, like what are the signs that your body's giving you that you can pay more attention to be like, okay, I think I need to find time to do a cleanse. And a cleanse could even be like, this is going to be a thorough, like 5-day cleanse, but really it's like 15 days, right? Because phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 3 would be the rebuilding, rejuvenation phase after you've purged and cleansed, right? But just understanding, maybe you could just go into a maintenance throughout the year after you've done your seasonal cleanse. So you could just do a 1 day a week cleanse for maintenance, or you could plan a 2 or 3 day weekend, or 3 days in the week type of thing, where you could at your own home by your own self, with this guidance, just even this book, even, and the resources given to you in this cleanse, you could just be doing this on your own at home at any time you feel like you need it. So it really goes through like the whole concept and approach of Ayurveda towards eating and combining food in proper ways so that you're optimizing your digestion through proper food combinations. And that's something that it can be a really valuable thing to learn. The 6 tastes, that help us balance our constitution. Even we can use food and the principle of the six tastes to learn how to balance our dosha and our constitution on the daily, right? Choosing foods that are optimal for our constitution. I talk about a whole way to like incorporate water and drink water in a way that will rehydrate your body, because we do as much water as we think we drink. We do all have a a strong possibility that there's some level of dehydration in our body. So drinking a lot of water during the cleanse and helping to rehydrate our tissues and support elimination and assimilation through water. And then the dinacharya, right? So a whole chapter on the dinacharya daily routine. And then when you look at the daily routine, so let's just look at that. So it talks about how to do all the things that you would need to do to care for your sense organs. So the scraping of the tongue, the nausea sinus treatment, instructions how to do that, the oleation, inner oleation and outer oleation. Inner oleation, as I was mentioning, those fat soluble toxins that get stored in our fat tissues when they aren't metabolized and eliminated, the way that they get pulled out, believe it or not, is from fat. It's from oil, because oil has this really magical quality that it saturates, it moisturizes, it nourishes, it brings a lot of lubrication to the joints and tissues. But then this magical quality of it is that it also draws out. So it saturates and draws in, but then it kind of draws out the toxins. It pulls them out and binds the toxins to the ghee, to the oil that you're internally oleating with. And then through other practices, self-care practices, then we're supporting the oil internal oleation process to bring then and deliver those toxins to the GI tract for elimination. So drawing the toxins out, and then through sweat and heat in the body, then we can help to liquefy that and bring it into the GI tract for elimination. So that's one thing that really makes Ayurvedic cleansing really unique, is this process of the internal and external oleation, because they both help that process of drawing out those fat soluble toxins, but then also delivering fat soluble nutrients to you during the cleanse, right? So it kind of has a reciprocal process. And then we're using oil to do a self massage on our body. So every morning, just really cultivating that self-care and even self-love, because the Sanskrit word for oil is sneha. And sneha means oil, but it also means love, but a kind of love, like a maternal love, like a warm hug from a loving person, and especially like with a maternal type of feel to it. So just even the act of doing that on yourself releases a lot of oxytocin, and it just feels really good. And you just start to hopefully inevitably just have this growing self-love within you for yourself, and then you just get really excited about doing it. You're like, oh, I can't wait, to wake up and like do my massage and scrape my tongue and oleate my nose and just the whole body, because it really does translate. Like there is another Ayurvedic proverb that I love that says, oil to the body is like love to the soul, because that warm affection that oil feels like on our body, on our skin, like the sense organ of our skin, translates to our nervous system and even to our heart and soul, that it's just like care and it's warmth and it's grounding for the nervous system. And the body feels safe and nurtured and cared for. So it's really, really powerful how that translates once we start like really embracing it. At first it can be like, oh, this is weird, like all this oil on my body. Now what do I do with that? Because we're doing it in the morning, when we wake up, and there's all these instructions kind of how we do it. And also, just the way we're in um, the steps of the massage will stimulate lymphatic movement. So not only are we targeting the nervous system and helping to ground that through the skin, all the nerve endings on the skin, we are targeting the lymphatic system and helping to move those channels too, which is something we should be doing during a cleanse specifically, but we can be doing that on the daily, So everything that you're going to be doing in the cleanse is your dinacharya that you can be doing every single day. But when we get to ritucharya, then we are doing it in a very concentrated, more enhanced way to really start cleansing out any accumulated toxins. And then it talks about the oiling of the ears, oiling of the feet. We go through, doing castor oil packs on your liver to support, getting helping your liver drain, and any toxins that the liver is storing. The liver is also an organ of pitta. And so it can be very hot. It can be very heated up, especially if it's doing a lot of work trying to deal with all the toxins in our body. So we can help and support the liver through castor oil packs and even herbs during the cleanse, just to help it drain, help the liver drain, to release some of that heat and those toxins. So as far as the daily checklist of what this dinacharya looks like on the daily, but especially during the cleanse, you wake up at a certain time, and the goal is to have a routine, right? So waking up at the same time every day, having your meals at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time every day. And this whole book speaks to all of that. But we're going to wake up, we're going to scrape our tongue, and then the oil pulling even. So oil pulling, you may have heard of that, but it's just swishing oil in the mouth. It could be sesame oil, which is ideal, coconut oil, if that's more palatable for you. But again, right, the oil saturates the tissues and then draws out toxins. So what else it does, which is really fascinating, is the plaque that gets built up on our teeth is the same plaque that's in our like our arteries and blood vessels. So when the oil, we're working the oil through our mouth, it's also going and being saturated down through the tissues of the gums into the blood vessels, and also helps to remove the plaque out from the blood vessels as well. So this is not just mouth hygiene and health, it's also heart health, right? And blood circulation health, and helping to clear the plaque and the toxins and everything out. And we're doing that just by swishing. But swishing also helps regulate vagus nerve. So there's a lot going on with just oil pulling, and just really pulling out any decay or trap toxins even within our gum tissues in our teeth. And then we're going to drink some warm water and kind of wake up our digestive system, hopefully empty our bowels. And then we'll start with the dry brushing, Garshana, which is optimal for moving our lymph, right? And even doing that dry skin brushing helps open up the pores to receive that nourishing oil. So we do the dry brushing. We can do that with a dry brush or Garshana gloves, which are a raw silk glove. And that feels really lovely on the skin and not as harsh as a dry brush, but equally as effective. And then we do our oiling, and then maybe we go start our breakfast. But like I'll go and start my oatmeal or my stewed apples or something, and then I will go do my yoga and pranayama meditation or whatever while the oil's kind of sitting on my body. So you might want to get like a little outfit that is your Abhyanga outfit, like I have a I have an outfit that I have that's my oil outfit, and I put it on so that I can wear it while I do my yoga and meditation or whatever practice I'm doing that morning. And then go take a nice hot shower. So the hot shower is where that heat comes in, right, to help open up those channels and support the toxins being removed via that carrier oil, right, that we've put onto our body. So the oil soaks into the body, the toxins get drawn out, they bind to the oil, and then you go into that hot shower or even a hot bath, even better, soaking into a hot bath where your body can warm up and those channels can open up to liquefy and bring those toxins into the GI tract for elimination. So then after your shower, you have your breakfast, and then you go about your morning, and then your lunch, at high noon time between 12 and 1, where that pitta is strongest. Your digestion should be the best at that time. And then throughout, between, sipping on the hot water and the rest and digest tea, which is going to be a special spiced water formula that you'll get. And then perhaps maybe you take a rest in the afternoon or you do some yoga or take a walk. And then at nighttime, just having a little nighttime routine of taking your herbs and preparing for sleep. We're also detoxing from digital things too, right? During a cleanse, right? Because that's the seeing part and the hearing part, right? The blue screen, the blue light, the stimulation from what we're looking at or taking in from the screen, that is something that you would want to find a way to minimize during a cleanse, specifically that digital detox type of thing. Because you want to be able to support optimal rest and deep sleep, because that is when your body goes to work on all the cleansing processes that it does, right? So we want to really support that. And just getting to bed early, waking up early, and then doing it again the next day. So that's kind of what it all looks like, and then we've got lots of things in here, like a journal for elimination, so you can kind of track that and see what that looks like. And it's something that we could even talk about because we can check in with each other during the cleanse to see how that's going for you. There's just a little bit of a daily journal, some more instructions. There's a whole, yoga section here. So this is really set up for you to be able to do this on your own at home, but it's really nice to have that guidance to go through it, especially, if anything was coming up for you during the cleanse, any weird things. But I do try to cover specific things such as blood sugar, any kind of things that you might be experiencing, like a blood sugar, if you need more protein, we can address that. But yeah, there is a specific instructions for each phase, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, where you'd get a specific menu, you would get a grocery list, and even recipes. So just ways and ideas that can give you some different types of meals and things to pull from, depending on what you're feeling like you can eat, what's palatable to you, and what's mostly aligned with your constitution and such. So this is the whole book that comes with the cleanse, but other things that we have, and if you've looked at this page on the website, excuse me, and I can even put it in the chat, the link in the chat just in case. But there's other things. So there's a lot of info and kind of walkthroughs here on this page. But what else you get? So you get that consultation, right? You get one before the cleanse. So we set up that whole self-customized program for you. And then we even do a follow-up after the cleanse to help you reintegrate and make sure that you're aligned. And during the cleanse, during that like phase 2 part where we're all together doing the classes together, then we can check in with each other and do a Q&A, like I'm feeling like I have a big headache, what should I do, or whatever, things like that. Then, that customized cleanse menu and grocery list, so we can go off what's in the book, but there can also be some customization or modifications for you. We have that daily classes, which can be recorded. Access to the group support and connection, which is sometimes really valuable for people. Then I even have an Ayurvedic Foundations class. So that's going to be 3 modules of the whole system of Ayurveda and how it works, Dinacharya, Ritucharya, how to really set up yourself for optimal health with the wisdom of Ayurveda. And so that's normally $333, but I'm going to throw that in because I think it's important for people to understand, Ayurveda more thoroughly, more deeply, and how they can apply it to their life personally. And then, yeah, that whole ebook that I just went through with you is there. And then in all these kind of FAQs, right? This is gentle and it's safe and it's food based, so it's going to work with your own constitution. We're not going to fast or stop eating. We're not going to starve ourselves. It's definitely something that is going to be nourishing to you and your body, but just very light and easy to digest so that the body can focus on getting rid of toxins. And then we are going to be doing it virtually. And yeah, then there's just a lot more information here. If you want to go back and look at that, then you're totally welcome to. So I think I have gone through all the material that I wanted to cover. And I know it was a lot of information, but hopefully gives you a really good sense of kind of what the goals are here and what Ayurveda can offer you. So I'm totally open to taking questions now, but if nothing's coming to you now, just feel free, you can always email me or text me at any point to get even a more one-on-one type of Q&A session going to help you really understand how to make this work for you. Does anyone have any questions at this point as far as what I've gone over so far? No?
No.
Okay. It was making sense and okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really all the gist of it. And it's something, that can really be a form of self-care for yourself that you can carry out for the rest of your life, and hopefully you could get to the point where, you you would just know when you needed a cleanse and you would have this reference to kind of carry it out with, and the experience of it so that you kind of understand the flow of it and what your body needs and all of that. But, for me, it's been such a game changer to be able to understand how to cleanse for myself when I need it, and yeah. So a powerful self-care and self-healing tool all around.
I second that. No, it's powerful. I did a mini cleanse and you started yours, Seva, and I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but it's really awesome and it really puts you in touch with yourself and there's a lot of clarity coming out of this and it's a life-changing experience, but it's really easy to do and it's really nice to be supported. And
Yeah.
obviously you've got a lot of passion and you've spent a lot of time putting this together. It's going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely worth it, it's worth learning how to cleanse because, the world is just getting more toxic in every capacity, environmentally, uh, with the media, with, there like emotional toxins that we have, it's those need to be cleansed out too. All the things that we're storing in that we deal with through processing emotions and trauma and grief and all of those things, that's another whole element to it that feels really good to process and cleanse through also. So yeah. So I don't see any questions in the chat or anything. So I'm gonna just assume that you all are good to go, that everything made sense, and you have a really good understanding now of what it would look like to participate in this cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So reach out anytime, and if I can be a resource for you in any way, and if you're considering doing the cleanse, just reach out and let me know, or you're feel free to go to the page I've put in the chat. And even if you don't think that this time frame to do it in a group setting can work for you, then there really is options to do like it customized and personalized and private. So I do lead people through, 2, 3, 5 day cleansing programs, um, privately. People want to do a cleanse whenever they're ready and whenever they can, and then I can just jump in with them and we can decide, based on your time frame and your responsibilities, how we can really customize something that will um, be the best thing for you at that time. So there is that option as well. Okay.
Thank you.
You good, Robin?
I'm good. Yep. Well, I'll be in
Okay.
contact.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time and attention and presence being here today. I really appreciate it. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that we've met.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
And
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Okay, we'll be in touch then. And thank you,
Okay.
Sony and Laurel, too, for your time and attention and your presence. And um, so appreciate you making an effort to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for presenting everything to us.
Yeah, my
It was very
pleasure.
interesting and thorough.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.